Well, to further discuss this issue, we're now joined live by James Conway, former FBI agent. James, thank you so much for joining us. You're also the head of global intelligence strategies. How hard is it to prevent such lone wolf type attacks when some of them have no direct terrorist links, while others have a clear police record?
Rosanna, it's a mission impossible, virtually impossible. And I heard your previous reporter saying it's unknown yet whether or not he was on a watch list or he was on somebody's radar screen, be it the Americans or the Canadians. But this is happening so often. Many of these individuals have not been previously under investigation, have not been on the radar screen, have not been part of any intelligence base, but they're being inspired by ISIS propaganda or other terrorist group propaganda online in cyberspace.
Look, the FBI said the suspect shouted Allahu Akbar as he carried out the attack on the police officer. Why did it then take so long for authorities to confirm that this was indeed a terror attack?
Well, you know, I think they were just quiet for a while until they could link some things together. Look, first and foremost for the police, for the FBI and for the Canadian officials is to make sure that this is not part of a larger plot. Public safety comes first and foremost. Is this fellow part of a group of 5 or a group of others who are plotting to do something similar at other airports and at other transportation hubs? So that's first and foremost. They're going to drill down immediately and try to determine what kind of linkages he might have through his cell phone, through his social media, through his email, whatever it might be. Look, he also made statements about this was in retribution for what was going on in Syria and Afghanistan. I think that certainly brings it closer to a terrorist-based threat. He also asked the police officer why he wasn't killed. It looks like he was looking to be a suicide. He wanted this to be a suicide mission for him. So it's got all the earmarks, and in the next 24 hours, we'll know a lot more.
You mentioned some of those earmarks there. The suspect apparently claimed his actions were in retaliation for killings in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria. What do you make of that? Well,
look, ISIS is being squeezed by coalition forces from both Russia as well as the United States and other coalition forces. They're desperate. They're losing turf. They're putting out a lot of propaganda throughout their platforms, in social media and on websites. They're asking people to take up arms, as crude as it might be. This was an extremely crude attack. But what we're seeing is we are seeing more and more crude attacks with hammers, with hatchets, with knives, with vehicles, driving vehicles into crowds of people. This is what they have instructed their followers who are inspired by their propaganda to conduct. And that's why it's so difficult for the police and intelligence services. It's virtually a mission impossible. When you couple that with, if we look at the UK, for example, in France, you've got hundreds of individuals who have been battle hardened, fighting on the battlefield in Iraq and Syria. Now they're returning to their homelands with their passports, and they're moving about their societies. I have read statistics of upwards of 500 or 600 individuals are now in the UK, for example, or in France that have returned from the battlefield. And these are really dangerous people because they're battle hardened. They've got tradecraft.
Well, we can continue to analyse the motives from all sorts of different angles, but we can't deny the fact that we're now seeing more and more of these individual attacks, or as you put them, sort of lone wolf attacks. What has prompted that particular phenomenon?
Well, I think, you know, it's a variety of things, or a number of things coupled together, and that is that ISIS is desperate. They are losing turf, they are losing ground in the battlefield, and they are inspiring their people to take up arms in retribution for this loss. And also the fact that you've got individuals returning from the battlefield, although this individual and many of the others do not meet the profile of somebody who has a high level of tradecraft and has been a mujahideen fighter in the war theater. But the fact that they're losing ground, the fact that they're becoming more desperate, they're losing leadership, they're becoming more desperate, and their attacks are clearly more desperate.
James Conway, their former FBI agent and president of Global Intel Strategies, thanks so much for insight.
Thank you.